Hello everyone, welcome to this fourth tutorial of Gelli Plate for Dummies. Before we start, I wanted to explain that the prints that I made in the previous lessons, I am still going to reuse. So if you are doing these tutorials with me in the right order, you can always put your exercise prints apart and then get them out for the next tutorials. So last time we made, in the number 3, we made these little mountains with masks, and we're going to do one more tutorial with masks that you make yourself. So you really don't need much material. I'm going to take regular paper, nothing special, whatever, and I'm going to cut out some rings that I will use as a mask. Today I'm only going to use these rings, but you can also put these apart and they can make fun masks too, or you can combine both of them. Why not? So I make different rings in different sizes, and there are 2 ways of layering in a Gelli plate. I will explain this while I'm cutting these. You can layer on the Gelli plate, so build up your layers and every time make them dry in between, or you can build your layers on the same print, and that's what I'm going to do today. It might be the easiest way, but the other way can be more interesting, I think. Okay, is this enough? Maybe one more. And this, of course, you can use as a really nice mask. Oh yes, I will do that. So what I love about the Gelli plate is, well, the Gelli plate is pretty expensive, but once you have it, you don't have to spend a lot more money to make all those beautiful, beautiful things. One more and then we can start this one a little bit. Okay. And this will be really nice to use too. Now, let's see what I have. I have, for example, these 2 that I'm going to reuse, this one too. I'm going to start by putting in, let's take the orange. Now, I wanted to talk to you about this little tool too. It doesn't have sharp edges, because when this sticks to the Gelli plate, don't go with your nails because that can damage, and with this tool you can pick it up without damaging your Gelli plate. So a coat, thin coat. Just the weight of the tool, don't push too hard. There's a little bit of paint left from last time, but I don't mind. It's going to come off with this coat and it will add some texture. So now I'm going to put these, and I will go fairly quickly because we have a small amount of paint. A thin layer. It's going to dry pretty fast. Now let me put this on. I will try to put it in the same place. Okay, not quite in the same place, but that's okay. Now 30 seconds, remember. So I'm rubbing not very hard, but just enough to make contact with the paper. Now this paper is the print from last time, and it's not very flat, but you can always, if you want to have your prints really flat, you spray on the back with a little water and you put them in a book, or you put weight on them. So this should be okay. And then you have this kind of print that is vertical. This was a little bit, oh yes, I will take this. And the first reaction that you will have is, oh, now I'm going to clean my Gelli Plate. Well, don't, because underneath here we have, even if you don't see it, we have a really interesting texture, drawing, whatever, that we will now take off with white paint. You don't have to need to wait until this dries, because it's such a thin coat that it's already dry. So now I'm using white paint. You can also use gel medium. There we go. And I will take a yellow paper. There. Put it on there. And now 30 seconds will not be enough, because we have 2 layers, but the layer underneath is so thin that it won't take a very long time either. You can turn around and you can already see what is going to happen. Okay, let me see. Okay. Now I like this very much, and often you just wipe it off and it's this print that is the most interesting. And now my little bits of blue paint from the number 3 came off. You see? And what can you do to have more paint? To have these lines thicker? You just need to put a little bit more paint. Now this is a little bit more paint. And then I will put this on again. Okay. I'm putting my rings on again. Doesn't matter what side. Just you can reuse them over and over again. This is the last one. Okay. And now I'm putting the paper on, but I'm not going to push as hard as I did last time. I'm going to give it really a light rub. I'm going to look what is happening, and you can see since I didn't rub very hard, there is still paint on the plate left. And this print is not so crisp as the other one, which is fine. I'm going to reuse this. So this I'm going to put aside, and here you will have a little bit more lines. Well, the lines will be a little bit thicker, because you put on a little bit more paint, and you can see them more clearly than in the previous one. Now Now instead of pulling this print with white paint, I'm going to put a little bit of acrylic binder or gel medium on it. You don't need a lot. I'm going to roll it out. And then I'm going to use this print again. Okay. There are special tools that they sell to put your paper every time exactly on the same place. But well, you're free to buy those, but personally, well, I don't need them. Now this is 30 seconds because the second layer is very thin, and as you can see, the blue paint is more present now than in the first print with the orange rings. So the second print I used more paint. Now let's try with a little bit more paint, even black. More paint means longer drying time, okay? Or what is there? I think there's a yeah, okay. Or you will not pick up everything if you don't wait long enough. But now I'm going to put my rings back on. There we go, last one. And I'm going to use this, and I'm not going to push hard, just a little bit, so that there will be even more paint left on the plate. You see, more shadows, more grungy texture. And this is interesting too. You can go on and go on with a lot of layers. Try to keep a little bit of white. When all the white is almost gone, then stop, because then it gets less pretty. Now this is the third time I'm doing this with still a little bit more paint. If you put a really thin coat of paint, you won't see the drawing as well, and you won't have these little bits of paints that are left on your plate. But you can make it whatever you want it to be. So if I want to print this on top of this one, I'm going to have to wait until this is dry, then put on the gel medium again, and then print it. So we are going to wait until this dries. Okay, I waited 5 minutes. It's not as if all the plate was completely full of paint. Or you can put it like 30 seconds under a hair dryer, but don't use too much heat, because the Gelli Plate doesn't like the heat. So cold hair dryer. And I'm going to pull this off with acrylic binder. on top of this one again. There we go. And if it's time to prepare your supper or whatever at this stage, you can just leave this on. It will only come out better if you wait longer. Well, if you really want to be sure to pick up the last bit of paint of this layer, you really have to wait. Otherwise you're going to have the black that is going to stay a little bit on the Gelli Plate where the layer is a little bit thicker. I'm taking off a little corner, and you can see that there is still paint on the plate, so I have to leave this for at least, let's say, 10 minutes. I waited 10 minutes, and now I'm going to lift up a corner, and yes, this time there is no more paint left on the plate, so I can go on and take this off. Okay. And this is my final print with the 3 layers of rings. There's something important that I have to tell you about this technique. Maybe you're asking yourself why putting the layer of paint all over the plate, and why not first put on the rings and then brayer over it with paint. I will show you why not to do that. Let us take these, so now I'm taking the inside of the rings, and instead of putting the paint on first, I'm putting the masks on first. So my little paper masks, and you say, well, the result will be the same because there still will be no paint underneath this when you print it. Okay, but let me show you. So I put paint on the plate and I'm brayering it on top. Now, the first thing you have to know that although I've put a pretty big amount of paint on the plate, there is so much paint that is going into the paper that there might not be enough paint left to pull the print. We will see if there is enough paint left. That's the first thing. So on the Gelli Plate, the layer might be too thin. And the second thing is that the pieces of masks, the pieces of paper are soaked with paint, and they might tear or stick to this paper, so it's not a good idea to do it this way. Let's see what happens. Okay. You see what's happened? Because the paper is soaked and now it sticks to my print. So that's why it's not a good idea to do it this way. Although you can always have nice surprises. I'm telling you not to do it this way, but look at this result. That is a mix of the print and small pieces of paper sticking to my print, which is so pretty. I love those accidents, happy accidents. But this is why it's better to put the paint on the plate first and then putting the masks on. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give me to encourage me to go on with these lessons. I have so many techniques to show you still. And have a nice day. See you later. Bye.